Starting from a base point here where the battery is fully charged, the charger is doing float charging as noted there, and the float charging is pretty minimal. Controller is showing a battery 100% full, showing it at 13.7 volts, and the charging is minimum amps. What we're going to do overnight is put the freezer on. So I'm just going to switch the freezer on now. Okay, the freezer's kicked in. As you can see, it's going to run a couple of amps. The solar charger is going to try and make up for that because there's a bit of solar power left. So solar charger is putting a bit of solar through, which is fine. 30 watts, it's not a lot because it's overcast. And we're going to leave that overnight. Right at the moment I expect the usage and the solar power to even out. Overnight I expect the battery percentage charge to drop, which is currently at 100. It's going to fluctuate around now for a few minutes, and then I also expect when the batteries drop to about 80% in the morning that the Ring will swap from float charge to bulk charge. Hey, good morning. What has happened overnight is the battery charge has dropped to 91%. The battery voltage has dropped below the float voltage. The float voltage is 13.5, the battery's dropped to 13.3. The freezer's running right at the moment, the compressor, so there's quite a load going out of the thing. Unfortunately, what's going on here on the Ring controller is that we're still doing float charging. Okay, we're still doing float. And so the amount of power, whoops, let's write this down, is limited. It's limited because there's not a lot of solar anyway, but as long as it's doing float, even if there was a lot of solar, that wouldn't help. Now I happen to have a breaker where I can turn off the connection to the charging battery, so if I turn that off, it's obviously going to charge, it dies, turn it back on, and lo and behold, the Ring decides it should bulk charge at this stage. Wow, it should have decided that without me having to switch it off. Just for completeness, it's a couple of minutes later, I thought I'd run through the settings. As you can see, it's doing bulk charging, 13.2 volts, it's getting 2 amps now, but it's a couple of minutes different. So the power is meaningless because the solar could have changed. But if I go through the settings, I've got 14.5 volts bulk charge, 13.5 float, and it was below that, 12.8 cutoff from the engine, 13.2 re-enable. I don't use the alternator a lot, and solar priority is on.